It's going to make it a lot easier and a lot cheaper to make people redundant, which we are very concerned about because of the various efficiency savings, as they call them. We've got over 100 people trying to be redeployed at the moment.
They want to take money away from our redundancy to make it cheaper to get rid of people in the end, to replace us with privatised companies.
We've also been on strike recently over low pay, where people aren't even on the London living wage, and we see the two fights as combined.
If they get away with this, they'll go straight onto pensions.
This is just paving the way for, I think, a decimation of public services in general.
No buts! No public sector cuts! No ifs! No buts! No public sector cuts!
The people that lead this department say they're here to deliver government policy, to cut public expenditure, but there's more than one way to tackle this budgetary deficit. The other way is to get more revenue in. We're at a situation where we're getting a lot less revenue now for a lot less resources. And because the staff cuts, the tax burden is shifting more and more away from companies and onto individuals. The manager have made it known that is just the tip of the iceberg. They're bringing another phase of yet more cuts, both offices and staff. Large multinationals and companies are more or less paying tax on a voluntary basis now. It's almost reached that sort of situation. And that can't be allowed to continue, which is why we're on strike today, basically.
People have felt under constant attack. We've got our interview office network where 10 offices are closing across the country, and that certainly hasn't helped the management side. So, issues like that are really, really important to our members. At the same time that they're cutting the offices, they're saying that they need interviews to take place. So, we've got a kind of mixed message from the management, and who knows what that means for public services in the future.
They want to turn 8-hour shifts into 12-hour shifts. And that's affecting security, and we're trying to do something about that. There's a lot of people have to do overtime. We've got roster allowances, but of course people like to get by without roster allowances.
Because of cuts and everything over the years, natural wastage, there's a lot of people not being replaced, and it's causing a lot of stress on members that are already here. And if the changes get made to the civil service compensation scheme, and there is compulsory redundancies on the cheap, an already understaffed thing is going to be even more understaffed, causing more stress on staff.
The sheer number of fixed-term contractors that have been in that have even less rights. I'm myself a long-term civil servant at present. I'm actually a fixed-termer here myself. When there's a lack of capacity, they'll get an intake of either previously experienced non-civil servants to be civil servants, or a new intake on the contract. First they were 18 months and then they whittled down to 12 months terms. They're meant to make you permanent at the end of them, but as using the excuse that when the money isn't there anymore, they say, okay, X amount of people on these fixed terms, we don't need to renew them. But they have the flexibility to say, if they do have the need for them, we'll just extend your contract without extending the same kind of permanent rights that every other civil servant gets.
Support the strikers today. Support the PCS union. Bring them a coffee, it's cold.
There's quite a few outside contractors that come within the museum now, and they actually worked alongside us. But I think the contractual side of it is obviously it's a lot of it's privatisation, then through the back door really, and we're upset about this really.
There was obviously a report in the papers last week about, I think it was Cleveland Police, saying that they were looking at privatising or outsourcing their call centre for dealing with the 999 calls from the public, and I'm worried that the same thing will happen to the Met for our staff, so it does affect us in terms of redundancy.
A lot of people that work here are really low paid. In the Ministry of Justice, in the league table, we're about fifth from bottom of the lowest paid in the whole civil service. Most of us are on about 15,000 to 20,000.
I'm on 19,600 and something, a year.
You know, we don't earn a lot, and you know the pension and the civil servants compensation scheme is there as like as a sort of your backup really, and when that goes, you know what's really left is going to be very little. We have to resist and fight that as far as we can in relation to our low wages and the efforts we put in, the long hours, and you know some of the grueling work that has to be done front of house to make the experience happen for the public.
Job cuts, no way!
Tax the bankers, make them pay!
Job cuts, no way!
We're being penalised by the government for the mess that the government's got us into, and then they're favouring the bankers and all the big cats.
They want to start making cuts on ad conditions and contractual rights when they should really be, you know, the bankers started this mess, this financial situation.
Gordon Brown has said he wants to save £500 million from this in this compensation scheme, but you know, only last week RBS announced they were paying bankers bonuses of £1.5 billion really. So, you know, and yet you know that's 84% owned by the taxpayer, and they've made losses of between 3 and 4 billion.
No public sector cuts!
I think we've done a really good job today. We've managed to get a lot of people out on strike, and I think it's been a great success.
Of an office of approximately 130, 140 staff, there's only about 30 or 40 in today, so it's been really, really good.
We've had a good turnout, basically. There's a lot of people haven't come in, and they've had to call agency staff in. With the response that we've had here, it helps us with the local issues.
There are around 700 people that work in this building. We've counted just over 100 that have actually turned in today, so that is pretty solid support actually, and we've turned away around half a dozen or so.
We had one joinee on the picket line. We actually had one member come out of the building, so they didn't realise there was a strike, and now they realise there was a strike, they were going home. But in fact they joined us on the picket line for a while before they went home.
We believe that about 50% of the total staff on duty, and that includes police officers, have been on strike over the last 2 days, and we're a 24-hour call centre, and for our staff to give up 24 hours pay, then it's fantastic.
All of the industrial actions, you know, in the past, particularly with the Department of Work and Pensions, our department showed fruit, and management had to step back from the kind of job losses and the kind of pay rights and employment benefit cuts that they're planning.
We've obviously got to take more action, and we need to link up with everybody else who's in the same boat. I mean, just down the road in the universities there's 300 jobs being cut, and the lecturers are balloting for strike action there. We're all under threat, and we'd be much stronger if we fought together. Look at what they're doing in Greece. That's the way we should be doing it.
Been on the picket line this morning, my local job centre and the local HMRC office, both in Hayes and Uxbridge. Refused to cross the picket line yesterday and today to go into Parliament, as did a large number of MPs.
Done well in the last 4 or 5 years, and that is why this dispute is so important to win. Because as hard as we've had it, the compensation scheme and the protocols that you won when you struck twice in 2007 have stopped the management making compulsory redundancies on the scale that they want. Still only 88 compulsory redundancies of the 100,000 jobs that have gone because of the agreements that we've won. If those agreements go, every job is more vulnerable. Everyone, whether they are 16 or 59, becomes instantly more vulnerable after the general election. We're going to fight for our rights, fight to defend our jobs and services, get around the negotiating table, but if you won't, there will be more of this until you accept you have to talk to us. Well done, colleagues. Go back with your heads up held high, and let's ensure we win this vital battle. Thanks very much.